What would you say if a cop looked in your window tonight and asked, "Do you know why I stopped you?" One nervous sentence from you can turn a simple stop into a much bigger problem. Hit subscribe right now because the exact words you're about to hear could protect your record, your money, and your freedom. Like this video now so you can find it fast when you actually need it on the side of the road. Here's what you're about to learn, and you need this in your head before your next drive. First, the one sentence you should say before you answer anything. Second, how to stop yourself from confessing by accident. Third, what to say if the officer keeps pushing with more questions. And fourth, the line that makes it clear you are not giving up your rights. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. Drivers talk too much, guess too much, and explain too much. Then that talk gets used against them. Here's the reality. The question sounds casual, but it is not casual at all. It is a test. The officer is listening for admissions, nerves, contradictions, and anything that gives them more room to investigate you. Let me show you exactly how to stay calm, sound respectful, and protect yourself without being rude. Now let's talk about why your first 10 seconds matter so much. Most people have no idea that "do you know why I stopped you?" is not small talk. It is a trap wrapped in a friendly tone. You think if you're honest, the officer might go easy on you. So you say, "Yeah, I was probably speeding," or "maybe I rolled that stop sign," or "I was looking at my phone for 1 second." And just like that, you gave them the admission they were hoping for. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Yeah, I know, I was going a little fast." And then that statement becomes evidence. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I don't want to guess or make any statements. Please tell me why you stopped me." Then the officer has to do the talking. That is the whole game. You want the officer giving information, not you volunteering it. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. Silence feels risky in the moment, but careless talking is usually what causes the real damage. So if that question comes, your first move is simple. You stay polite, keep your hands visible, and do not guess. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I want to comply, but I don't want to guess or make any statements. Could you please tell me why you stopped me?" Word for word. Memorize that line. It sounds calm. It sounds respectful. And most important, it keeps you from confessing to something you do not even fully understand yet. Maybe the officer says you changed lanes without signaling. Maybe they say your tag light is out. Maybe they say you were speeding. If you guess first, you can accidentally admit to the wrong thing and still hurt yourself. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it shows you were polite while refusing to create evidence against yourself. Here's why it works in simple English. When the officer asks if you know why you were stopped, they are trying to get you talking. The more you talk, the more chances you have to say something they can write down. You might be trying to sound helpful, but what comes out is often an admission. "I only had 2 beers. I'm just tired. I'm late for work. I looked down for a second." Every one of those can turn into a problem, but when you use that line, you force the officer to name the reason. Now the stop has a clear purpose, and you have not helped build the case. This is 100% legal. You do not have to guess. You do not have to explain your whole night. You do not have to help them fill in blanks. Watch what happens when drivers do this wrong. The officer asks, "Do you know why I stopped you?" The driver laughs and says, "Probably because I was flying." That sounds harmless. It sounds honest. But now the officer has your own words. If there is body cam, dash cam, or audio, your statement is locked in. If the case later turns into a hearing, a ticket fight, or something worse, that one sentence follows you. Here's the reality. Your mouth can become the strongest witness against you. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I knew it, I definitely ran that yellow." Then the officer writes down the admission and the stop gets easier for them. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, please tell me the reason for the stop." Then the officer has to prove the reason without your help. And yes, there is legal backup for this approach. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Berkemer v. McCarty, the court said roadside traffic stops are usually temporary and different from full arrest, which is why you often do not hear Miranda warnings right there on the shoulder. In plain English, that means a lot of drivers wrongly think casual roadside talk is harmless because nobody read them rights yet. That is a huge mistake. You can still choose not to answer questions that may hurt you. So your safest move is not to argue, not to guess, and not to explain. Your safest move is to make the officer state the reason first. Have you ever been asked that exact question during a stop? Drop a comment below and tell me if you would have answered differently after hearing this. Now, once the officer gives the reason, your next mistake is usually even bigger. You start defending yourself. You say, "I wasn't speeding," or "everyone else was doing it," or "I only touched my phone for 1 second." You think you are talking your way out of trouble, but you are really giving the officer a longer interview. And that interview almost never helps you. So your second tactic is to stop the conversation from growing. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I'm going to provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions. Those exact words. Keep your voice flat. Keep your face calm. Then hand over what the law requires in your state. This matters because you usually do have to provide your basic documents during a lawful stop. That part is normal. But that does not mean you have to discuss where you're coming from, where you're going, whether you were drinking, why you look nervous, or who was in your car earlier. Let me show you exactly where people lose control. The officer says, "Where are you headed tonight?" You answer. Then they ask where you came from. You answer. Then they ask why your hands are shaking. You answer that too. Then suddenly, you're not just in a traffic stop. You are in a fishing trip. Former police officers have confirmed this works because the easiest way to grow a stop is to keep a driver chatting. The longer you talk, the more the stop can shift. Listen closely because this is critical. Being polite is good. Being chatty is dangerous. You can be respectful without giving a free interview. That is the difference. This is 100% legal. You can say you are not answering questions while still complying with lawful orders. If the officer tells you to step out, do it. Pennsylvania versus Mimms says they can usually order a driver out during a lawful traffic stop. Do not argue on the roadside. Save the argument for court. Your goal is not to win a debate in the dark with flashing lights behind you. Your goal is to leave without giving away rights you cannot get back. Now let me be very clear, because people get this wrong all the time. Saying that line does not magically stop every search. If an officer claims they already have legal cause, they may still search. But your refusal matters, because it takes away the easiest shortcut. Consent is the shortcut. If you say yes, you gave it away. And once you say yes, it gets much harder to challenge later. That is why defense attorneys use this exact line in court. It shows you never agreed. It shows the officer had to rely on some other reason, and that reason can be examined later. Your refusal preserves your rights for later review. This line works because it forces clarity. If the stop is over, you leave. If the stop is not over, the officer has to own that choice. That matters. Officers often keep people standing there with more questions because many drivers do not realize the traffic mission may already be finished. Then the chatting continues. Then the consent request comes. Then the dog gets called. Then the whole stop stretches out. Your question draws a line. It says, in a respectful way, are we done here or not? You need to use this at the right moment. Wait until the officer has handled the reason for the stop. If they are still writing, still checking documents, or still giving lawful instructions, comply. But when it feels like the business is finished and the officer keeps fishing, that is your line. Officer, is the stop over or am I free to leave? Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection near the end of a stop because it stops the blur. A lot of bad outcomes happen in the blur, not the stop itself. The blur after the stop should have ended. There is legal support here too. Rodriguez matters again because the court said police cannot just add time for unrelated investigation without extra cause. In plain English, they cannot keep you there forever hoping something turns up. And if the officer says you are not free to leave, do not argue. Stay calm. Stay still. Keep your hands visible. But now the record is clearer. You asked the question. They answered. That matters later. Bad way. Most drivers say, sure, I can stay and answer a few more things. Then the stop keeps expanding. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I free to leave? Then the officer must either end it or justify continuing it.